Hey, folks, welcome back to the show, the Crazy Dre Podcast Show. Today, we're going to talk about the Detroit Pistons and the Los Angeles Lakers. Don't know how to say Los Angeles anymore, supposedly. But look, folks, there's a storyline about Detroit. This Detroit Piston team is obviously on a hot streak. They're 25-8, 12-6 on the road. They just beat the Lakers. The Lakers are 20-11. They're above 500, obviously, and they're 5-3 at home. So, why are we talking about this game? Of course, we have to talk about JJ Redick. His sad excuse of his team losing to the Detroit Pistons. They have the two, I don't know, great players like Luka and LeBron James. Uh, One of the greatest players of all time, supposedly. To your credit, anyone out there that agrees or disagrees with me, yeah, make a pick and choice of what you wanted me to say about that. But JJ Redick, he goes into the game and he's talking about how Detroit Pistons will make multiple fouls on the Lakers or any other team, and he talked about it in the morning walkthrough of the of the- of the day, and he pointed out that Detroit fouls a lot. I say hustle, you say foul, whatever you want to put it that way. Obviously, let's look at the stats here. Pistons forced 21 turnovers, 30 points. The Pistons fouls are 26 fouls, and the Lakers had 31 free throws. The Lakers had 24 fouls, and in Detroit Pistons had 29 free throws. So the difference is about the same. So I can't say fouls one way or another. It just worked itself out. Okay. If you look at the other stats, the Pistons rebounds to 37 total. Lakers had 33 total rebounds. Fast break points. Detroit had 31 fast break points. So there's something to look at into that stat. So if you look into the stat, it's not really about fouls. It's not really about uh, the referees not calling fouls on Detroit. It's the fact that your team's not hustling. Your team's got an old fart, LeBron James, and Luka, who's out of shape, clearly always out of shape. He throws 3 pointers to make, and he's a decent overweight guy. Okay, you're always going to find a guy that you're going to find in the playground on the court that's going to be overweight, and he's going to be a natural gifted athlete, just not in shape. That's Luca for you. So that's something to talk about. There's points in the paint, 74 for Detroit, 44 for the Lakers. So, I mean, Detroit did give up 44 points in the paint. All right. And then you get 3 pointers, 11 through 39 for the Lakers. Why are you shooting so many 3 pointers when you can't make them? Detroit shot only 24 3 pointers, and they made 11. So the numbers are looking fine. Okay, Detroit didn't have to shoot as many 3 pointers as the Lakers did. The Lakers, if you look at the footage, everything about Detroit, they had at least 10 guys playing really, really well. And this is something that people of other cities, you're not going to appreciate them, Detroit, until they come into town. All right. Clearly, they got beat by the Clippers. You could tell that that team was better balanced and better prepared to play against uh, the Detroit Pistons. The Clippers were better prepared to play the Detroit Pistons than the Lakers were. So I don't think this is about the Pistons not being prepared. This is about the Lakers not being prepared. If you look at the stats, I'm going to put the stat on there for you. If you look at this, oh my goodness, remove, add. All right, here we go. If you look at the stat, you see that Marcus Sasser had 19 points, plus 14 on the court. You look at Isaiah Stewart, he had 15 points, plus 21 on the court. You had Ronald Holland, 11 points he scored, plus 19 when he's on the court. Uh, Jaden Ivey only had 9 points, but he had plus 20 on the court. So that means that Detroit Pistons, their bench players are making the world of difference on that team. If you look at that stat in itself, and you look at the Lakers stats, they're not scoring points. Okay, their bench is not that good for the Lakers. So that's something that we can clearly see. And the Detroit Pistons scoring is going to be the world difference. The thing that Detroit's going to really have to think about is this. Detroit's going to have to think about this. Is that you got Tobias Harris and then you got Duncan Robinson. Both the guys on the court, but both the guys only scoring 6-7 points. Duncan Robinson only had 1 for 4 for 3-point shots. So that's something to consider. You look at Tobias Harris, he does give points like 10 or 13, maybe 15 points a game here and there and so forth. But to be honest with you, he's not going to give you that every night. He's going to get you a veteran experience. He's going to slow the tempo down if he feels that just having that presence on the court will help Detroit out. That's probably what Bickerstaff has encountered with having Tobias Harris on the court. He could start with Rylan Holland to play on the court over Tobias Harris, or you could put Isaiah Stewart to take the spot for Tobias Harris. But the thing about that though is that Isaiah Stewart's height is maybe a little difference. He's a much more aggressive player. I think that Detroit needs him to come off the bench just for the extra boost of energy to play, to come off the bench. That's just something that, he in the past was a starter, and now he's got a potential 3-point shot, but his aggression is so invaluable. He's got the body like Vinny Johnson, the microwave, but he doesn't play the shooting guard position. He's a power forward, small forward, sometimes plays center, but he's just that guy for you. Jaden Ivey, a lot of people are upset with Jaden Ivey. He's not scoring enough points. He's only playing about 15 minutes per game. And then this game in itself against the Lakers, he's only got 9 points. But you coming off an injury, you got a guy that lost his roster spot to a couple other guys, and then you got that situation. I didn't really mention about Sir Thompson. He had 7 points starting, but he only had a minus 11 on the court. So, you could take Sir Thompson off the bench and replace it with Isaiah Stewart. And one thing I like about Sir Thompson is that he's a better ball handler than he was last year. So that's something to consider as a big plus. To me, that's a big plus. If Detroit can actually get a guy that can come off the bench, that can dribble, that's aggressive defensive guy, Sir Thompson is playing the shooting guard, even though Cade Cunningham is the point guard. I kind of struggle with that. So you can't really put Isaiah Stewart over Sir Thompson if they're not playing the same position. Sooner or later, Jaden Ivey will have to start. I think Jaden Ivey needs to start in the second half of the season and after the All-Star break in February, just to get him more time, more experience to be able to be on the court longer. His endurance needs to be picked up. He needs to be more aggressive, not just the inside shot, but Jaden Ivey needs to be able to move without the basket. Dennis Jenkins, who only had 4 minutes and 0 points for the Pistons against the Lakers, you're going to have a kind of a situation with this guy where he needs to be on the court too. So it looks like he's splitting times or hairs with Marcus Sasser and Jaden Ivey. I don't know how Detroit's going to run the system going into the second half and going into the playoffs, because if you put Jaden Ivey and you don't play him enough, and then you can't get him off the bench with only 10 to 15 minutes per game, I just don't see the consistency. Where Dennis Jenkins has a consistency, even if he's playing 15 minutes a game, he's scoring points. But having him only play 4 minutes per game against the Lakers, that doesn't look great either. So that's something to really consider about thinking about how does Detroit balance uh, the atmosphere, and maybe by the playoffs or by the end of the season before the playoffs, maybe Bickerstaff is going to have to go from a 15-man roster, which I don't know if that's really a true thing that Detroit is playing like 15 guys. And I thought the rosters were supposed to be like 12-man roster, but to me, I'm a little confused by that. But I think that he's going to have to go. Bickerstaff will have to go to like a 10-man roster, or is he? Yeah, about a 10-man roster. So you get the guys that you want on the court to play more minutes, and then they be more active, uh, and then you'll get more production out of it. That's to me, that's what a traditional basketball analytics would say. Back in the day, you had, back in the 80s and 90s and early 2000s, you had that. But now in today's era, you play a multiple different guys. Maybe that's what Bickerstaff knows, something that I don't know. That's something to consider in itself. Um, to move on, I want to talk about this little story about Montgomery and Gibbs. So there's been talk about Montgomery not happy in Detroit anymore. He's not getting the touches with the football. I just kind of found out in 2024 he was having a mental issues about fantasy football managers, giving him a hard time of not getting fantasy points. But his nephew, who's fighting leukemia, called him up, gave him an encouragement. That's something to see, that fantasy football is just a fantasy. All right, it's just not what it's supposed to be. You're supposed to have fun with it. You win, you lose. These guys who are professional athletes, it's rough on all these football players, basketball players. They put their heart and soul into the game. uh, and then for Detroit, you got to count your losses. It's unfortunate that they lost, but they're not in the playoffs. They have one more game against the Bears. Could they ruin the Bears' weekend going into the playoffs for the Bears? Could be. Is Detroit going to play any of those starters? I don't know. I don't know why they would. I don't know if they should even start Gibbs or Montgomery or even Jared Goff. If you're going to start Jared Goff, I think you just have him play in the first half. Montgomery and Gibbs, maybe the first half, second half. But to be honest with you, there's also talk about Montgomery wanting to trade, but I don't see that happening. He's under contract till 2027. So that in itself, it's a 1-2 punch thing that Detroit has. I don't think they would want to destroy that or make it any type of damages to it. So that's something to 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 think about. Maybe Brad Holmes will draft a running back out of the blue. Maybe he'll. Well, Detroit really needs to get themselves a couple uh, uh, free agents of the offensive line that are experienced. You could draft a couple guys, but in my opinion, Detroit Lions need something now, not over 20 years. This is going to be like a 2-3 year span where by the time the contracts of Gibbs and Goff and St. Brown and even Hutchinson wear out, you know, those guys will be in their second half part of their career, maybe willing to go somewhere else. So you have a kind of a 2 year span that you have to keep being good now. I don't want to be like the Pittsburgh Steelers where you're making the playoffs but you're not in the Super Bowl. I mean, that to me is just bizarre. I don't understand why Mike Tomlin is still the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers when he hasn't won anything in a in a in a in a, in a long time. So um, there you go. There you go. Anything else I would like to say? Is 2026 coming up? You know, Detroit Red Wings, Detroit Pistons, Detroit Lions. These guys were doing fantastic. The Tigers uh, just missed the playoffs this year. They're still under contract with Terry Skubal. They don't know what to do. They trade him. They keep him. I tell you what, if you get rid of uh, Turk Skubal, you're gonna get rid of your alpha male. He's your alpha male in the group. I get it. Uh, I think that some people don't take that in consideration that Tarek Skubal could be the alpha male in that group of the Tigers. I just think that you just can't replace that. So take it or leave it. Uh, Thank you for listening to this podcast. You can find me on YouTube, Patreon, and you can also listen to it wherever you download your podcast. Peace, love, and I'm out of here. Cheers to 2026.